I accidentally bought these 3-piece 22-inch US-made show car wheels. Now if you're asking yourself, how is it possible to accidentally buy wheels like these? Well, in this video, I'm going to tell you how it happened. But first, we need to talk about tires. Now, if you have a show car or a sports car or a luxury car with big wheels and thin tires, you'll know that tires for these kinds of wheels can be pretty expensive. Or at the very least, decent tires can be pretty expensive. You can get cheap tires for these, but they ride bad, they're noisy, and they're not very grippy. Now this Mercedes CL63 AMG has some really big wheels with low profile tires, and that's where these wheels come in. They're the same size as the wheels on the Mercedes right now, but we got a really good deal on them, and they're a great option to be winter wheels on the car. Now these were actually $350 for the set, but a couple of the wheels had cracks, which is why the price was good. Now looking for a set of wheels that has some minor damage and maybe some small cracks is a good option to get a set for a good price. Now this wheel was actually repaired. Near me there's a really good old school wheel repair guy, and he did a great job getting rid of the bend and welding it back up. Now some of you may be thinking, welded wheels like this are never going to be as strong as they were from the factory, and I guess from a material science perspective, you're not completely wrong, but this is not going to be on a race car. It's to get around in the winter, and it'll do the trick for what we need. Now these tires are 295/25 R22s, so low profile, and you may notice they're Continentals. These are actually all seasons, and they can be really expensive per tire. For some reason, maybe it's the size combination, maybe it's the season right now. One of these tires is usually probably $320 to $400. So a full set is over $1,200. But there are options besides buying new. Now, if you want to buy used tires, there are a couple of options. You can look locally. Sometimes there's small shops that sell used tires. You can go online. There's actually a couple sites that specialize in used tires. Or you can go on Marketplace. If you go to Marketplace, there are a couple of different options. Some people sell just tires, and others sell wheels with the tires already on them, which can be a good option actually. And that is how I got these Forgiato 3-piece wheels. Now these wheels were actually listed as just tires. Come with the wheels, set of 3. And yes, that is why there are only 3 of these. The listing said they were 255/25 R22, which is perfect, which is what we were looking for the black wheels I just showed you. Now they were listed for tires plus the wheels for $600. When we showed up, he said, hey, the wheels are in the shed, let's go get them out. And I looked down and I saw that they were 3-piece. And then I saw the center cap. And let me tell you, I was pretty excited. Because if you know about Forgiato, you'll know that these wheels are all basically special order. And that was really exciting. We were getting 3 tires for the price of 3 used tires, and they were in great shape, and these 3 wheels as part of the deal. So besides the fact that we knew they were 22s, we didn't actually know the width of the wheels, what the lug pattern was, or anything like that. So it was really exciting to find out these were the wheels that were coming with the tires, because there might be a small chance that they would actually fit on something, or we'd be able to resell them and get our money back. Now, like I said, we didn't have any details on these wheels. And normally, you're able to look at the back of a wheel and get all the information you need. So on most wheels, you have all the information stamped in on the back of the spokes. Right here we have the diameter, which is 22 inches, the width, which is 9 inches, load rating, some other information here, and the last one that's also important is the T number, which is the offset. So you can see right here, this is stamped 32. So this wheel is a 22/9 ET32. Now the Forgiatos, which are special order, don't have that kind of stamping on the back, because especially on a 3-piece wheel, the centerpiece can actually be mounted on different lips and barrels, so your specs can change depending on how it's built. So what can you do if you end up with a wheel that doesn't have any markings, but you need to know if it'll fit on your car? So let me show you how you can measure all that. So the first thing you need to know is the bolt pattern. These are 5 lug, there's 5 holes through it, but some trucks have 6, some smaller cars have 4, and some heavy duty trucks have 8. Now you can measure this a couple of ways. One is with a ruler. You can use either metric or imperial. For example, Mercedes uses 5x112, BMW has used 5x120, Infiniti uses 5 by 114.3, which is also 5 by 4.5 inches. So let's measure this one and see what it is. So we're going to use one hole here, skip one, and the next one here. So what you want to do is measure from the outer edge of one circle here to the center of the other. So from the outer edge right there to the center here. So I'll be honest, sometimes I have a little bit of difficulty using this method, but that is how you would do it. Now the other way is to get a tool like this, where you put these two posts in the holes side by side, and you read off the gauge right here. So a 5 lug, this little marker lines up with 112 right here. So we know that this wheel is 5 by 112, which fits on Mercedes. Now the next thing you also want to measure, before you know for sure that it'll fit on your car, is the center bore. Because on your disc or on your hub, there's a little flange that sticks out. And if the wheel is larger than that, you're going to need a centering ring. And if it's smaller than the hub, then it's just not going to fit. At least not without an adapter or spacer, kind of thing like that. Now to measure that, you can either use a ruler again. I would say this is close to 66, which is pretty standard Mercedes hub bore. But you can also use a tool like this, a bore gauge, to measure it. So just drop this in, turn it around, tighten it up. When you pull it out, you can measure this and get the size. So you can see right here, I don't know why it's blinking, 66.3. That'll clear the 66.1 that Mercedes wheels use. So also good news. Now, if you have small enough calipers, you can actually just run it in here. Or if your wheel's big enough, you can just drop it in like this and measure it like that. So 66.1, which is also good. But on smaller wheels, the caliper will bump into the rim and you can't get a measurement. Now, the next thing you want to measure is the width of the wheel. And that is from the inside of the lip here, where the bead of the tire will seat, to the inside of the lip here. So this, from here to here, is 10.5. So other common sizes are like 8, 9, sometimes 9.5, 10.5, and so on. So when you're sizing up tires or stretch or things like that, this is a number that's really useful. Now the next really important measurement is your offset, because depending on where the face that the wheel mounts on is, your wheel will stick out more or stick in more, and that can matter because you don't want the inside of the wheel to touch your struts, and you don't want it to stick out too far outside the body in most cases. So how do we measure that? First, we want to measure from the outer edge to the outer edge. And for this, we can use metric because offsets are usually in millimeters. So from the outer edge here to the outer edge here, we're looking at about, say, 293 millimeters. Let me write that down. Now what we're going to do next is, since the offset is measured from the center line of the wheel, the next thing we're going to do is divide that by 2. So 293 divided by 2 is 146.5. So I'm going to place the wheel back down, and I'm going to get a really big straight edge here and line it up over the wheel, over the mounting face. And then I'm going to grab another ruler, whatever is long enough to reach the straight edge, and I'm going to measure how far that comes from the edge. 185 millimeters. So that means that from our outer edge here to our face, we have 185 millimeters, but from the outer edge to the center is 146.5. So the difference between those is our offset. So we're going to plug in 185 minus 146, and that is 39. And since it's positive, that means our offset for this wheel is plus 39 millimeters, which is really nice because that is actually the same as what's on the CL right now. Let's say our measurement was 100, like our mounting face was up here, 100 millimeters from the surface. That would mean we would have a minus 46 offset. And that's how you calculate the specs of a wheel. So if you ever end up with a wheel that has unknown specs, and for whatever reason you're not able to get the specs, you can measure them yourself. So these are 22 by 10.5 with the offset of 39 with a bolt pattern of 5 by 112. So that's how you accidentally buy show car wheels. So what is the plan for these 3-piece wheels? You may have noticed they're not in pristine conditions. The mounting bolts for the 3-piece assembly are not original. They've been apart, they've been resealed, and they've also been refinished. There are no cracks or dents, which is very nice, but this one we just looked at has been repainted, including the face. Now, one option is to sell them one by one, or a pair, or a set of 3. And the other is to call it Forgiato and order a 4th wheel and pay probably anywhere from $1,500 to $2,000 for one rim, and then have a full set to either put on a car or find a new home for. Now, one thought was maybe make these the winter set for the CL, but we would still need a 4th wheel, and we actually have the full set of black 5 spokes that's ready for the winter. I've also thought about putting these on my S-Class. They would be a very tight fit, you could say, but it might look interesting. Or maybe we keep them in storage for another project in the future. I don't know yet. But either way, it was still really exciting to get these in the deal with the tires. And hopefully this video helped you out, maybe give you some ideas of how to get tires without breaking the bank, and maybe a new set of wheels for your car, or even just to figure out what the specs on your wheels are. Because I gotta say, buying wheels when specs are missing is really tough. Because some people just say, yeah, it was on this car, so it'll fit. See, that doesn't really tell me the whole story. I need to know the center bore, the actual bolt pattern, the offset, because some wheels just won't fit right with the wrong offset. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it and to hype it. And if you want to see more videos like this, be sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.